Hey, when you're in the world of collecting, as long as we are, you pretty much assume that nothing's going to surprise you when you do your research. After more than 45 years involved in comics, toys, sci-fi, fantasy, horror,
Porn.
we often we often assume that we've seen and heard it all. And honestly, it's never disappointing to have that assumption proven wrong. We love learning new stuff.
That's why we love going to conventions and to out-of-the-way comic shops, because you always find something or learn something and go, wait, where is this? I never heard of this before.
Just things you never heard of, and it's the best part of all of this. Before the research into the controversy over the first appearance of Hellboy, it's a controversy.
Check out that video.
Yeah, check out our long-form video. I'd never heard of Fredonia Funny Works or the card set that a group of artistic all-stars from the early 90s worked on for its 10th anniversary. We even checked with higher authorities than us. Nick at JHU.
Who knows everything.
Talked to them. He knows everything. He didn't know about this. It just goes to show you that in the world of collectibles, just like in regular life, you're never too old for a pleasant surprise or to learn something new. So, what is Fredonia Funny Works, and what's the deal with the card set? Fredonia Funny Works was a comic book store in Orange, California. It opened originally in 1983, and it closed, as far as I could find online, sometime in the late 90s. It was owned and operated by a legend in the collecting world, apparently. In California, everyone seems to know who this person is. There are pictures online of him. His name is John Kautsakis. The store had a reputation for being the kind of place where people would gather, hang out, talk about their interests with comics and sci-fi and movies and all that other stuff. It seemed like it was a really cool place to just go and spend time with like-minded individuals.
Like this show.
Like this show, sure. And by the late 80s, some of those fans who hung out there and had their bull sessions and talked about stuff were the soon-to-be legendary artist Dave Stevens, who created The Rocketeer.
Okay.
And friend of the show, Mike Allred.
That's right. Check out our interview with Mike. It's one of our favorite interviews so far.
Right.
Mike created the Madman.
Right. And apparently, Kautsakis, Stevens, and Allred became fast friends while talking at the store. And when the 10th anniversary of the comic store came up, they had this idea that they would commemorate the 10th anniversary by having a special card set made. So Stevens and Allred reached out to other comic book creators they knew to see if they wanted to contribute artwork to the card set.
We should do that
and
too.
And the rest is extremely obscure history.
We should do a 10-year. We'll give Mike a call and have Mike do one for us.
Yeah, we can do a 10-year collector's confessions.
There you go. If you keep us around for 10 years, we're going to do a very special collector's edition of cards. We're making some good friends in the comic book industry right now.
Only 8 more years to go.
Yeah.
For us to hit our 10-year anniversary.
But you got to keep us going. So, like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends.
So, I could hear some of you skeptics out there saying, all right, Brian, this is fairly interesting.
Well, first, before we go any further, I would like to, if you comment if you've ever heard of the Fredonia Funny Works card set.
Yeah.
Because we really, at this point, have not been able to find anyone who not only has heard of it, but definitely not anyone who has it.
I've only seen it on eBay.
Right, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
So if you have it, or if you have seen it, just leave a comment. Let us know. We'd love to see a picture of your set if you have it.
Oh, yeah. If you've got pictures, definitely.
collectorsconfessions@gmail.com. Send us a picture.
Especially if you have the chase card that I'm going to talk about.
And we'll use it on one of the upcoming episodes.
Right.
We'll give you a shout out.
Yeah. So like I said, I hear some people out there skeptically asking, Brian, this is interesting, but why is there such a big deal about this card set? Why should I care about this at all? I'm glad you asked, my skeptical friends. First and foremost, the card set was very small. So there were only 11 base cards in total, and the run was limited to only 1,200 sets. Oof. Right? Only 1,200.
Yeah, that's small.
You could only buy them in the factory box.
Do we know what they were sold for originally?
I do not know.
Okay.
Again, information on this whole thing is really difficult to find.
Why are we not talking to the owner of the...
I reached out to John Kautsakis on Facebook, but I have not heard back from him, which maybe is understandable.
John, if you're watching this, please reach out to us.
Now, along with those base 11 cards, there was a 12th chase card that only showed up in a few boxes. And apparently, this was so hard to get, I can't even get a number.
Wait, so
on actually
it wasn't in every set?
No.
Oh, boy.
Right. It's really difficult.
So we don't know how many sets it was. Out of the 1,200, we don't know how many received, how many of discard.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I have had a lot of trouble finding a number.
Okay.
Even on the eBay sites that sell the card.
They don't know.
It doesn't seem to say how many of these were made.
Okay.
Right. It's a postcard size, the chase card. It's not like the regular cards.
Okay.
It's big, like a postcard. Right? And they fetch a pretty penny on the secondary market. Even before I tell you what was on the chase card, the cheapest I saw it for online was $200, and eBay, the buy it now price after auction for it was $400.
Okay, wow.
Just for the card, right?
Okay. We don't know what that card is yet, though. Stay tuned. We'll let you know what it is.
Now, even more important than the set's rarity and obvious value on the secondary market, the talent that went onto the cards is a veritable who's who of 1990s independent comic artists. Check this out. Card number 1 was done by Jeff Darrow with a Europa illustration. Number 2, Mark Schultz with a Cadillacs and Dinosaurs illustrations. Some of you out there might be familiar with Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Kind of an obscure property that a lot of people liked but didn't seem to catch on when it came out. Yeah. Card number 3, Matt Wagner, a Grendel illustration, which those of you who are Grendel fans know that's pretty early on.
That.
Number 4, Hometown Hero. Evan Dorkin with a milk and cheese illustration.
We should ask him about this too.
Number 5 was Jeff Darrow again, this time with a hard-boiled illustration.
I bought that when it first came out.
Yeah, hard-boiled?
Yep.
Number 6 was by Scott Saavedra, and it was an It's Science with Dr. Radium illustration.
Okay.
That's a fun-looking card. Number 7, Mike Allred with, of course, Madman.
His best-known character.
Yep. Number 8, Dave Stevens of Rocketeer fame with a Bambi illustration. Not the deer, the lady Bambi.
I was going to say, why would...
No, from the Rocketeer
How did he get
series.
permission from Disney to do Bambi?
No. Number 9, we discussed this on our Origins of Hellboy issue. Number 9 was Mike Mignola with an illustration of Hellboy that possibly predates his first appearance in comics. Number 10, Frank Miller, a Sin City illustration. Now, 1993, a Sin City illustration. It's only 2 years after Sin City first premiered in Dark Horse Presents, and right before the second series started, A Dame to Kill For, right before that.
Okay.
Yeah. And number 11 is another Jeff Darrow. This is The Big Guy and Rusty the Robot. The postcard size chase card was a drawing of Marv from Sin City by Frank Miller. All the cards were white ink printed on black with red foil accents. And I got to say, the Marv card is really cool.
Really?
It's him, shooting with bullets passing by him,
We're going to show them.
Right? Yeah, of course. It's really, really cool. So with anybody familiar with independent comics, or just comics in general in the 1990s, and in a lot of cases, mainstream comics today, you could recognize that these artists and the characters they illustrated for this card set, they really mark an important moment in the history of comics. Sin City really had a huge impact on what happened after in comic books. Tons of noir stuff came out after it. These comics and creators would go on to create some of the best work that we saw in indie comics, and some of the best work later in the big two, in Marvel and DC.
When does Milk and Cheese come out?
Milk and Cheese was late 80s, early 90s, yeah. I'm trying to remember. Right. It boggles my mind that this level of talent was assembled for a card set commemorating the 10th anniversary of a comic book store. So this must have been a really special place and a really special time where all these creators kind of knew each other in and around this shop in Orange, California. I was looking for information to sort of figure out how the origin of this got started. What was the story? How did it all come together? I couldn't find a thing. And like I said, as of the recording of this video, we haven't heard from John Kautsakis.
Well, what year did the store close, did you say?
It was in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s.
So it wasn't open much after this then.
Yeah, hard to find information on it.
They put all their money into this card set and then they...
It was honestly what it seemed like was the internet just missed this one. You know how the internet catches everything and records everything? It's like it just missed this. This just got slipped through somehow.
Because you really couldn't find anything on
I had a hard time
And a lot of people that we know that know comics didn't know anything about the set.
Yeah, and again, small set, 11 cards, and the creators involved is just amazing. absolutely incredible.
At the beginning of their career, most of them, too.
Right. Luckily, Chad reached out to Mike Allred, friend of the show,
Mike Allred.
Kind person that he is, he responded and told us a little bit about how all the site came together.
So here's what Mike Allred said. And again, I think it's pretty cool at this point in our career that we can reach out to Mike Allred and he will reply to us.
Super nice. Well, overly nice. He didn't have to do this.
Did not have to do this.
Yeah.
John Kasakis,
Kautsakis.
It's a hard word. It's hard. John Kautsakis. John Kakauskis, the owner of Fredonia Funnyworks, became a dear friend even before my professional comic book career took off. While I was still a TV broadcaster, that's right, Mike Allred was a TV broadcaster. You would learn that if you watched the interview with him. His shop was closest to Laura's childhood home. Laura is Mike Allred's wife, who is also involved in comic books. And so whenever we visited her family, I would always hang out at Fredonia. I brought many of my all-time favorite treasures there, including a signed copy of Hernandez Brothers, self-published first issue of Love and Rockets. They would also stop in there and become major touchstones for me. We even attended Mario's wedding. So becoming established barely to be invited to be included with all of those masses in the card set was beyond monumental for me. Nothing but the happiest of memories.
So this was obviously a special time and a special place for these creators to have contributed this much work to a card set to commemorate a shop. And this also reinforces why the closing of comic book stores around the country is very sad for me, because comic book stores are community centers in a way. They're community centers for like-minded individuals to find each other in places where they can't, they may miss out on finding people who have the same interests in common. And that's an important thing for anybody, especially people in the arts, to find people who are interested in the things that they are interested in. Yeah, you have the internet these days, but anyone who spent a lot of time on the internet and also had community in person can tell you it's not the same. It's not the same thing at all.
See, I always equated a comic book shop to like a bar where
Sure.
And a lot of times with bars, if you're a sports fan and you go to a bar, you can find people in that bar where you can talk sports with them and you're watching a game. Whereas if you're a comic book fan, that can't happen at a bar. But if you go to your local comic book shop, you're going to stand there and meet somebody who either one, likes the same things you like, or two, doesn't, but is going to learn from you and you're going to learn from them. And you can discuss things that you like. And Brian and I go to our local comic shop all the time. We were actually there recently together.
Yeah.
And we spent a good 30 minutes in there just talking comics with whoever was in there, including the owners and including anyone else who was shopping.
Right.
And it's there aren't a lot of us out there.
No, not anymore.
And finding people that like the things you like and can, you can educate them, they can educate you, like we do on the show. We love hearing from you guys. We love when you guys make a comment of something we didn't know about. It makes our day, because then we go and look at some things a la Ghost Rider, and we recently got some comments about how Ghost Rider started based on a Hellboy episode.
That's right.
We love that. It makes us feel that we're doing what we're doing is a good thing for we're keeping the community alive out there.
Yeah, and that's our biggest hope for this channel.
That's why we started this channel.
Right. That's it. That's all we know about this card set. Fredonia Funnyworks closed a long time ago, apparently, but it left behind a bunch of great memories for the people who spent time there. And this little souvenir that's floating around out there that not a lot of people know about, this is kind of a symbol of a bygone era if you really think about it.
It really is. We hope we can bring you more on this. Maybe we'll get some more of the artists on here to talk about this. Now we know if we have, we're hoping to have Evan Dorkin on one day.
Yeah.
This will be a question we can ask him, and we're hoping we can have the original owner of Fredonia Funnyworks on here to explain this whole entire set to us.
That's right. So until we can bring you more information of that, love what you collect.
Collect what you love. We'll see you next time.